Hi guys and welcome, gnembon here. Nether update is shaping up as an amazing overhaul of what we currently have in the boring Nether. The new biomes are absolutely breathtaking, the new blocks and structures look just gorgeous. And the idea of being able of skipping overworld progression and play this game starting in the Nether is really appealing. There hasn't been such a major change compared to the previous versions of the game in a long while, and all those changes introduced feel really well crafted in terms of the vanilla feel. It's all really good, really, with one small exception. Yes, there is a but, which is the number of ghasts in Souls and Valleys. I've seen so many players complaining about the pain and the absolute frustration you can get while being there in survival. Ghasts are, and has always been, just super infuriating, not only because they are difficult to deal with, but because of their unfair reach and destructive powers. It's like skeletons shooting creepers with a reach of blazes and even more than that. While they were only a small portion of the previous Nether mobbage conglomerate, they now spawn almost exclusively in the Souls and Valleys. The thing is, if you are in the edge of it, or just happen to have a smaller sized biome, you may not even notice that, because most of the spawns will be forced to happen in the neighboring places. But if your biome is huge, you as a player will be just plainly annoyed by the sheer number of them trying to reach you from behind the nether fog. You will not be able to clear them up even if you had masterful bow skills, because the new ones will just keep popping up in their place. And it's also a little weird that's so uneven depending where you stand. Other biomes feel much more friendly. Why this happens this way? Let me explain. The mob cap for hostile mobs, which is the upper limit on the number of monsters around the players, is the same for every dimension and every biome, right? Right. But there are mechanics in other places that keep the internal balance of hostile mobs in check. For example, in the overworld, most hostile mobs are truly hostile, they just want to eat your face. But in most circumstances you can either find them in caves, one fragment at a time, or when the night comes, first the mob cap is filled with the mobs that have spawned during the day underground, and then it gradually moves to the surface. Another important factor is that the mobs on the surface have about a quarter of the chance to spawn due to night sky taxes, making surface spawns significantly less likely. Besides, you can just always have a sleep if you want to, and that would allow you to choose as a player if you want to deal with the monsters or not. In the Nether, there used to be just one biome, with the pigmen as the main mob that would spawn in here. Pigmen are neutral mobs, meaning that if you don't bother them, they won't bother you back. This means that the previous Nether was actually quite a peaceful place if you think about it, with the most annoying mob being the occasional ghast. There are currently 5 biomes in the Nether. The old Hell biome stayed unchanged as Nether Waste biome to remind us about the past, so no changes here. Crimson Forest spawns mostly piglins and hoglins. Technically it's hoglins, but because of their larger size they require a flat 3x3 to spawn, and the fact that they won't spawn on the netherworld blocks, and also the density of the forest, it means that there is typically much more piglins than hoglins in here. And for piglins again, if you just put on you a piece of gold armor, they'll just ignore you for the most part, like the old pigmen did. Warped Forest is even more peaceful, with only endermen to spawn here. If you don't look at them, they won't attack you, and even if they do, they won't even call their friends. It's yet another peaceful biome and the way to skip the end. Basalt Deltas, the newest biome in 2016a, absolutely breathtaking to behold, an absolute pain in the butt to have a larger mob spawning here. The jagged edges of the basalt columns prevent large mobs to spawn in most places, and since this biome is only spawning large mobs, so magma cubes and ghasts, we can find pretty much magma cubes in here. They are not only 2.5 times more likely to be selected for spawning than ghasts, but they require only a flat 3x3 to spawn, not 5x5 like ghasts. And their pack size is 2 to 5, not 1. Magma cubes are annoying, but they won't notice you from very far. The terrain is equally treacherous to traverse for them as it is for you, but since magma cubes, like regular overworld slimes, are the only 2 mobs that don't have pathfinding skills, they are still bearable. And here we end up in the Souls and Valley. Not only ghast is like 95% of the spawn attempts here by weight, but also getting up to 4 attempts per pack rather than 1, like in other places. And if we factor in their 95% default chance of failing, this means that they still remain a large slice of the preferable mob cap cake in here. So at the edge with the other biome, this would mean that the Souls and Valleys will be rather devoid of mob spawns, because on average it's 20 times harder to get a mob to spawn in here comparing to other biomes. But in the center of a large biome area, we would expect multiple ghasts shooting at us at a given point in time. And it's like that because the low chances of spawning for ghasts just don't matter at all. The game is still mainly limited to the total mob cap, and if it fails a lot or little trying to spawn the mobs, it doesn't matter. We will get the mob cap in a few seconds no matter what. And that's what technical players love about this game. So how quickly we can fill up the space with a mob cap of mobs? As you can see now we don't have any, we are in peaceful mode. Let me switch to the hard mode. And within seconds mob cap is filled and with way too many ghasts to annoy us. It may have been a design decision to keep it this way, I don't know, I don't want to judge, but it would be really bad to leave that biome as an absolute wasteland, or more like a pain in the butt land for players to absolutely ignore it and always go around it. This could be easily remedied by adding a filler mob. A mob that, like in other biomes, would be neutral to the players and help to fill the mob caps so we could only have a few ghasts shooting at us at a time, not 20 or 30. Enter the Gostlin. In terms of what it is, it just might be a piglin or a baby piglin that didn't get a chance to get zombified properly and got stuck in this ghostly stage. Or maybe just a soul that escaped from the soul sands that cover the soul sand valleys. Or maybe it's just a reference to Hattie Fatteners from Mummies, and maybe the ghasts are just the croaks. Or maybe Gostlins is just little sprouts of ghasts. This way, there could be just a missing link between ghasts and piglins. It minds its own business, wandering in search of purpose. There are so many good reasons for this little buddy, although we all know that the primary reason would be to balance the ghast spawning, but also keep the ambiance of the Souls and Valleys. Anyways, so what is a Gostlin? It's a neutral small little fella that spawns primarily in Souls and Valleys, but you can also find them in basalt deltas, which are the two biomes abandoned by the Piglin society. As a player, you can relieve them from its vagabonds, and if you do it in one fell swoop, it'll thank you, taking with them the souls of the soils below. Renewable sand and the way to obtain sand and dirt products in the Nether. Anyone interested? However, if you hesitate, it will get angry at you, call all its mates, and start to pester you. They're not very harmful creatures, but they can get upset. And if you just think that they're slow and you can get away from them, you would be surprised. They seem to be very slow, but the faster you run away, the faster they chase you. Thankfully, their primary attack is intimidation, so unless you are absolutely naked, you should be fine. When they die, they drop their soul. What can you do with it? I mean, you can make, for example, soul torches and other soul things from essentially dirt, not even getting the dirt back, if it makes any sense. Would it make little more sense if you would stack the souls on a stick and use that instead? I think it feels a little better this way. So what do you guys think about it? Such a creature would solve so many gameplay issues of the Nether update, link together the lore of the lively and less lively parts of the Nether, give a little bit of soul to the soul items, and provide some extra much needed ambiance to the biomes that Piglin civilization has abandoned. From the technical perspective, we get not only balancing of the crazy hostile mob spawns we have in Souls and Valleys these days, and lesser degree in basalt deltas, but also reasonable lore to get sand and dirt in the Nether, with a cool mechanic to automate obtaining the renewable sand without cheating. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, smash that like button and ring that bell. Oh, and if you want to try it yourself, a custom mod with data pack with a texture pack are in the description. You can even try on your current worlds, just don't be surprised what you find in place of Gostlins when you come back to vanilla. See ya, bye bye.